Well, I gone and done it. I got another person feared that I had been offed by the mob. The creator of this next game was afeared that they had taken me out from my Facebook post the other day. Luckily, I'm still around. Carl from the people running the Mobsters of Metropolis game on Kickstarter have neither sent the syndicate after me or their assassins. So I'm still around to bring you plenty of Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Reminder, if you want exclusive content or be able to join in on giveaways, make sure you jump over to our email at gamerelief@gamereliefgo.com. Wait, that's our email. Yeah, you can send me an email if you want to hear your game featured. But if you want the exclusive content I just talked about, make sure you jump over to our website, www.gamereliefgo.com. Kind of like Pokemon Go, but it's Game Relief Go. And that way you can find out for yourself what kind of exclusive content. There will be a giveaway starting this next Thursday, the 26th of April, as well as you'll get a sneak peek at an interview I had with Jamie Stegmeyer. But anyways, welcome to Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Welcome to Getting Geeky with Game Relief. If you're new, thanks for joining us. If you're old, thanks for keep on coming back. Now, we'll bring you this interview we had last weekend.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
You are newly arrived recruits to Titan Station when the unthinkable occurs. Core containment breach. With your direct escape route cut off, you must flee into the maintenance corridors of the station to find an escape pod. An explosion rocks the station, and to your horror you realize most of the remaining escape pods have been destroyed. Your initial briefing told you about one emergency pod somewhere in these maintenance corridors. Find it before somebody else does. One of you can make it out. For everyone else, there is no escape.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is a story of No Escape, the new game on Kickstarter that just freshly launched to Kickstarter on the 17th, which was just barely. So yeah, that's an awesome, and tonight we're lucky enough to have on the creator mastermind behind this great game, Jonathon. Is that correct? Is that how you fall in line with it, Jonathon?
Yes, I'm the creator of it. I've been working on it for a few years now, and it's really nice to finally be able to bring it to Kickstarter and show it to everyone.
Yeah, I can imagine. So before we get into that, Jonathon, let's rewind a little bit if we could. We don't have to go back too far, of course, unless you were born into board gaming. But how did you get started into playing tabletop board games?
Well, playing tabletop board games, originally with that, my family grew up out in a very small community. Our neighbors weren't the closest to each other, and so we had a lot of board games that we did. So that's how I really got involved with playing board games in the first place, is there really wasn't a lot else to do.
So not too much else to do. So did you start with the traditional games they had way back when, or what kind of games did you start off with, Jonathon?
Yeah, started with Monopoly and Risk and a few other games. Just trying to remember them now. But we had a small collection of games that we'd rotate through, and when people were actually interested in playing, which again wasn't all the time, then we'd all sit down and have a game night together.
Well, there you go. There you go. So how did you get introduced into what board games have become today as opposed to just the regular Monopoly and Risk?
Well, when I was in high school, I actually got into playing Magic the Gathering, and played that for several years. And I started thinking really that there had to be a lot more that could be done with games. And so I started looking at what else there might be with games other than the standard games you find in Magic. And of course, came across Settlers of Catan, and really started exploring what other games there were out there.
Oh boy, so you're one of those magic people. I had an opportunity to get into it when I was in high school. That my friends started playing it, but just like with the role playing, as soon as I had the money to buy it, they stopped playing it. So I maybe bought a pack or whatnot, and then it was done and through. So I never really got into that craze and didn't really get into it until me and my son sat down to play Blood Rage a couple years ago. So yeah, that's awesome that you got into it through Magic or whatnot, and then found the games after that. So minus I know my audience, they wouldn't like it. Well, nobody's ever come back and told me otherwise, but I do have a running joke, but maybe it's not a joke. They've never told me because I've never let them. But I imagine my audience would have me run out into the street or drag out into the street and hung if I let you pick your own game, No Escape. So I can't do that. But minus that, do you have a favorite game currently that you like to play?
A game that I'm actually really enjoying right now is actually both Roll for the Galaxy and Race for the Galaxy.
Oh, cool. I think we have one of those. I want to say roll, or maybe it's race. I don't remember, but I haven't been able to get to the table. So if there's somebody else out there like me that hasn't heard of it or gotten to the table yet, what can you tell us about that game, Jonathan?
Well, I've played more Roll for the Galaxy than Race at this point so far. But the biggest thing for Roll for the Galaxy is that you're trying to essentially colonize or build the most amount of things. And you have the dice that you have, which have different effects on them. And then as you go along, you get more dice, lose dice, change dice for being able to do different things better. And it's really based around trying to aim where you want to go with certain things. As I say, I haven't had much of a chance to play Race for the Galaxy yet, but Race for the Galaxy is a lot deeper, and you can do a lot more strategizing with it. And I'm hoping to be able to get to the table soon. But yeah, that's kind of where those two are.
For sure. Isn't that how it always goes? I don't know about you, but we, since my wife, she started way before I did, but since we started, we kind of been collecting them, and there's a bunch of games that we haven't been able to get to the table. Some people call them the shelf of shame. Besides a Race for the Galaxy, do you have anything else on what they call the shelf of shame that you haven't been able to play, but you have the game?
I've actually managed to get to all of the games on my shelf. Hasn't been easy, but I have managed to get to all of them. But I actually don't allow myself to buy too many games at a time, just so that I can get to everything I have. And then once I've gotten through it, then I allow myself to buy more again.
Well, that sounds like a novel idea. We should try it sometime. We'll have to catch up first, though.
It takes a lot of self-control, and there's a lot of games that I see go by where it's like, I'd really like to play that, but I'm not through everything I have yet.
Well, there you go. There you go. And it sounds like you've been quite busy. The word on the street is you have a new game on Kickstarter called No Escape. What can you tell us about this great game, Jonathan?
No Escape is a tile laying game, and one of the big things about it is it's a take that heavy game. So you're building the maze out from the center. Everyone starts in the center, and the point of the game is to be the first person to get off the map. So there's no special tile that you're looking for, no special effect. It's literally just get off the map, you win. But of course, everyone else is placing maze tiles in front of you. There's actions that you can get that will either help yourself or hinder the other players. You also have a jetpack that you can use strategically to be able to vault ahead of other players or just get a little bit extra movement. So there's, as much as it's a very simple concept, and the fact that when you come down to it, you're laying tiles and moving, there's a lot of strategy in the fact that you're always trying to keep an eye on where everyone else is going. You have your actions that you're trying to hold on for the best moment to be able to use them, and then try and figure out the best time to use your extra little boost of a jump pack as well.
Oh wow, that sounds like quite a game. So where'd the inspiration come from for this game? Were you stuck in space and you were the only one that got out and you left your friends up there?
My inspiration actually came from this old tile laying game that my parents bought me when I was a lot younger. I think it was called Houdini. It was a 2-player game, had exactly 20 tiles, and the point of it is players went back and forth, one player laying out tiles, one player moving through the maze. And as soon as someone got out of the maze, the player laying the tiles would count out how many they got out, and that would be their score for that turn. And then you'd switch, and then the other person would be laying tiles, and the first person would be trying to get out of the maze now. Very, very simple concept. It literally just had these 20 maze tiles and a dice and a piece. And I was looking at the game and I thought, I would love to be able to find a way to take the concept and have all of my friends play at the same time. And so I kind of looked at what the core mechanics of the game were and figured out ways to expand on it so that lots of people can play. And that was the initial core concepts for No Escape.
Well, there you go. From the overview, it's looking like you have in between 1 and 7 friends. Am I right?
Yeah, it's for up to 8 people playing. And it actually has a variable starting board. So the starting board is double-sided, the first side being for 2 to 4 players, the second side being for 4 to 8 players. And so it changes the layout of everything that's happening based on how many people are playing.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So, per se, me and you sat down to play No Escape, Jonathan. What would that look like? I mean, what would it sound like? This is a podcast, after all.
So, essentially, we'd start in the center of the starting board. And then one person would start by placing down a maze tile onto it, rolling the dice, and generally moving in the opposite direction because they want to take the shortest route out. Usually, then the next person will either play an action or just play another maze tile onto it and continue moving. But as the board expands, the variety of actions that can be played starts expanding as well, because you can start playing things that will change tiles around, that will change where the pieces are, that will allow you to switch tiles that have been played with ones that are in your hand, to straight cancel out what someone else did to try and give yourself a better chance of doing things. So the variety of options expands the further into the game you go.
Oh boy, so it sounds like people might hate me the more I get into this game because I'm told I suffer from AP, or analysis paralysis.
You wouldn't have that problem, though, because throughout the entire time you only have a few tiles in your hand, and the actions in the mazes are both on tiles. So what happens is you play a tile at the end of your turn, you draw a new tile, so you only have your entire hand with which to decide, and you have a hand of 3 tiles. So you only have a limited number of options each turn, but of course your options are changing each turn.
Well, there you go. That's good to hear that they're not going to hate me after playing this. That'll be good. So, yeah, that looks like a really good game. It sounds like probably I imagine a lot of work went into it. So during play testing, was there ever anything that you had to scrap because it just wouldn't work, Jonathan?
Most definitely. Originally, I had a plan of for every single maze tile that there was in the game, there would be an action tile as well. And so there was a lot of tiles in my original plan for the game, and a huge variety of actions that people could potentially play against each other. And it just ended up being too much. Too much variety of stuff, too much that people had to try and remember that could potentially happen. And some of them just weren't very good. So a lot of them ended up getting taken out. And some of the maze designs that I had as well on the tiles just didn't work very well during playtesting. They either made it too easy for people to go across them, or they made it way too hard for people to go across them. And so a lot of fiddling with the tile layouts and with all the actions that were actually in the game.
Okay, so when you got through and figuring that out and whatnot, how did you know when it was time for this? How did you know when the game was done, I guess?
Biggest thing for me for knowing when it was done to a point to really present it to the wider audience in general is when I was consistently getting feedback from the playtesters that they were enjoying what happened. And when after every single playtest, they were excitedly talking about the game. At that point, I knew that I shouldn't really be fiddling with it too much more, and really just finalizing all the aspects of it.
Well, there you go. They'll be excited to hear that you stop fiddling with it so it can become a reality and whatnot. So, Jonathan, what do you think what are you most proud of when it comes to No Escape?
The biggest thing that I'm proud of is essentially what the game actually means for me. For me, it's actually more than just bringing a game to Kickstarter and bringing my dream to life in this regard. It's also for me the fact that I'm being able to take where I was in time when I first started working on this and turning it into something better. Where I was in time, I was at a really low point in my life when I started this project, and I really was able to turn it into creating something that I could be passionate about instead.
Okay, well, that's awesome to hear about. That's cool. Now, I imagine you're pretty biased when it comes to this game because it is something you're working on. It's probably your baby or something.
Yeah.
So, mine is, per se, somebody doesn't want to take your word for it. Is there any other reviews out there in the wild that somebody could look at and see what somebody else's opinion is on it?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few reviews out there right now. We have, I'm just double checking the list here, sorry. We have Just Got Played, Board Deck and Dice, Bearded Meeple, and sorry, it's just not loading here.
Oh, you're fine. I'm looking at so you have more. You've told me more than I knew before because I'm looking at the Kickstarter page before it was fully live, and all I have is the first two you mentioned.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch more that we've actually received. And of course, when you were looking at the Kickstarter before we went live, we hadn't received the links back yet. So at that point, they just weren't on the Kickstarter yet.
Oh, I show a spot for 10 reviews. So is there going to be 10 reviews there?
Yes, there's going to be 10 reviews on there.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So how did you go about finding out, or how did you go about deciding who to review it? There's a lot of reviewers of us out there.
There's a lot of reviewers out there, yes. Part of it was I talked to different people on the forums about who they thought would be good to talk to. Part of it was I sent out a large number of emails to different reviewers, and I saw who responded to them. And for some of it, it was after I got those responses whether or not they actually felt they'd have any interest in this style of game.
Yeah, you don't want to probably have somebody review it that's not interested in it.
Yeah.
Now, per se, somebody's fallen asleep. It wouldn't be because they're not interested in you or your game, Jonathon. It's probably because they've listened to my podcast one too many times. They hear me drone on and on. At the time of this recording, we're about halfway through April, and this morning we launched our 56th episode of the year already, so they get a little tired of hearing me drone on and on. But now they're suddenly jolted awake, and so they don't hit the oncoming traffic, and you have their full attention now, Jonathon. Why should they take a chance on No Escape, especially with all the other great games that are currently on the Kickstarter?
Well, a lot of these great games, and I won't disagree at all that they're not great games. They are great games. But what a lot of these great games do is they take mechanics that people are used to, mechanics that people like, mechanics that people accept as being good, and then enhance those mechanics. But one of the big things that I've tried to do with No Escape, and have received very positive reviews for this, is I've taken mechanics that people generally try to shy away from, but combine them in such a way that is fun and exciting.
Yeah, that's what it just got played says. It takes the mechanics that usually people frown upon and uses them synergistically and creates a beautiful, simple design. What mechanics are you referring to that people usually frown upon, Jonathon?
Well, take that is, of course, a big part of the game, with the whole idea that you're constantly putting maze tiles down in front of where everyone else is going. But it's such a core key aspect to the game that it just feels natural when you're playing it. The other thing that a lot of people don't like these days is roll and move. And there's definitely a roll and move aspect to No Escape. But one of the things that I've done with that is I've actually tried to take roll and move and adjust it to be more of a balanced movement system. So instead of using a single D6 for movement, it uses 2d3s, which balances movement out a bit more, makes it that people are never going to roll the dreaded 1. But they're also going to be more likely to roll a balanced amount of 3 or 4, so that movement can be judged a lot easier throughout the game. And there's also an element of Kingmaker in it as well, where if you feel like you're really far behind, even though everything is set up in such a way that people that are far behind still have a chance of being able to get out based on how all the actions are set up, how things like control center maze tiles that are set up, they can just decide, instead of trying to use what they have to get out, they can instead just use what they have to play Kingmaker as well, which adds another whole element to the game at the same time.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I have a question for you on some of the components. There's these little round circles. Are those like warp zones, or what are those exactly?
The little round circles are actually your jetpack tokens. They're your energy tokens, actually, because that's based around an expansion that we have planned. But essentially what is, each player has 3 energy tokens, and then on their turn they can use one of their energy tokens to get +1 to their movement result and to be able to pass other players.
Okay, that's cool. So per se, somebody does want to take a chance on No Escape. What's that going to set them back, Jonathon?
It's going to set you back about $49 Canadian, which would be about $39 US. Up in Canada here, so all my pricing is based on Canadian pricing. And we have a lot of expansions planned out for this game too, which some of these will be put into the core game for everyone if we reach those goals as well.
Well, there you go. There you go. And per se, somebody takes a chance on No Escape. I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but when should they anticipate getting their game if everything goes okay?
If everything goes okay, we'll be looking at the beginning of December for getting the games out to everyone.
Okay, the beginning of December. Cool beans. That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, well, and we'll make sure we leave a link in the show notes so they can go ahead and find this great games. They don't have to search through, depending on when they listen. I know if it's the first one that launches, there's only a couple there on the page or whatnot. But lately, Kickstarter's been a buzz, and so it might end up going further down on the list or whatnot. I want to say just ones that launched in the last couple of days are already page five or more than that. So we'll make sure we leave a link in the show notes so they can find it easier. Now, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to listen to any of our podcasts, Jonathan, and if not, that's okay. But the next portion of our podcast is called Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an app, be it for your cell phone, your tablet, your computer, or even a video game. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be related to board games or escaping from a pod that's exploding or whatnot. It can be anything that you use on a frequent basis that you like. Is there an application you use a lot of that we can talk about for a moment, Jonathan?
Probably one of the applications that I actually use a lot is Facebook Pages. Just ever since trying to start up Games and having everything that I manage in one place a little easier.
Well, there you go. You said it's called Facebook Pages?
Yeah, Facebook Page it's called actually. So it just makes it easier.
Cool. What can you tell us about that app?
It's obviously a Facebook app. And what it does is it just puts everything for the Facebook groups and Facebook business pages that you manage all more easily accessible in one spot on your either phone or tablet. And that way you can manage a lot more of the aspects of the pages through your mobile device instead of having to do it on your computer. So it just makes it so you can do business activities from everywhere a lot easier.
Well, there you go. So if you own the rights to the application Facebook Pages, what would be one thing you would do to fix it or make it better, Jonathan?
That's a good question. Probably one of the things that I do with it is have it be able to tie into other apps easier. Obviously, it ties into the Facebook apps just fine, but sometimes you want to be able to have it tie into other apps that you use for business applications as well and not have to go in and out of apps as much.
Okay, yeah. So we try to make a green podcast around here. So if the creators of Facebook Pages or anybody that has anything to do with anything with it is ever listening, you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. What Jonathan would do to make that a better application. So that's great. Now, Jonathan, are you on any other podcasts, or can I go ahead and say you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief about No Escape?
You can go ahead and say that you heard it here first. I don't have any other podcasts lined up right at the moment.
Okay, well, that means I better hurry and get to editing so I can go ahead and get that uploaded so we won't be lying when they hear that. So that's cool. Now, minus coming there to your hometown to stalk you, Jonathan, how would people go out about finding out about you? Or did you call it Boom Games, or what did you call it?
Games, OOMM. It stands for Out of My Mind Games.
Out of My Mind Game. So minus coming there to your hometown to stalk you there in Canada, how would people go about finding out about you or anything that Games has going on both now and in the future?
Quite easy. You can go to oomgames.com or can go to pretty much our Facebook page, Games, or even pretty much the personal website that I have, noescapegame.com.
Well, there you go. It sounds like there's quite a few ways to find you. So it's not games.ca or whatnot. Sometimes I see Canada Geek pages with .ca. It's .com actually.
It's .com for all of them. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go. So that's awesome. And like he said, you heard here about No Escape first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Hopefully we'll keep it that way. But yeah, so that's awesome. And we'll make sure we leave all the links in the show notes so they don't have to go ahead and type in some, so they can go ahead and try to escape from wherever they're trying to escape from. Sometimes people get a little bit lazy. This way they can just click the link and it'll take them straight to the page. This project runs until when? When do they have to back no escape till so they don't get cut off and not miss the escape pod?
It's a 30-day project, so they have until the 17th of May.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you guys better get on it. I don't know when you're listening to this, but if you're listening to this at the first of the campaign or at the very end, you have until the 17th of May to back No Escape, so you can get it before, you said December, didn't you? So they can maybe play it at Christmas?
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for, is to get the game into people's hands for Christmas.
Well, there you go. There you go. You got your Christmas shopping done early if you go ahead and back No Escape for sure. Well, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief to share about your great game, Jonathon. We wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think we might have missed a vital question or whatnot, Jonathon. So let's see here. How did you come up with the name Games?
Well, I actually didn't come up with it myself. My business partner actually came up with it, primarily because he was considering starting up another company already. And so the company name means Out of My Mind Games. And kind of a funny story, he's kind of helping fund everything just as a startup until we can get onto our feet and going.
Okay, who is that's out of their mind that's helping with that then? Is it somebody? So you're not out of your mind, somebody else is?
Yeah, it's well, technically both of us are out of our mind to be doing a games company, but that's what we both love. His name is Lance Preve, actually. He's the owner of Rocket Snail Games and the original creator of Club Penguin.
Oh, okay. You're talking about is that Disney game kind of the Club Penguin? Was that a Disney game or whatnot, or Disney?
It was bought out by Disney after it had become successful. And so now what my partner does is he spends a lot of his time helping companies that are just initially starting up get on their feet.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So besides Games, is there any other companies that you know of that he's helping?
I know that at the moment he's helping multiple other companies. I'm not sure what all their names are at this point.
Well, that's okay. The Games is the one we're focused on right now, so we can go ahead and get No Escape funded, and so that can become a reality and whatnot. So yeah, if you know anything about Club Penguin or whatnot, I know my oldest son, when it started way back when, he was big into that. He really liked it or whatnot. So yeah, if you or anybody you know likes Club Penguin or whatnot, there's another way that you can, if you're not necessarily supporting Disney, but you like Club Penguin and want to support somebody who he's supporting, go ahead and jump on No Escape. Like I said, we'll leave the links in the show notes so you can go ahead and check out this great game from Games. And they're actually started up thanks to, what was his name again?
Lance Preve.
Lance Creed, the creator of Club Penguin. So yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, we'll go ahead and leave links in the show notes and everything like that. But yeah, once again, I know I forgot to ask the question beforehand, but thanks a lot for joining us on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. We really appreciate it, Jonathon.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
You heard her right, ladies and gents. It's time for Kickstarter Corner. And boy, have we got some great games to bring to y'all tonight. Mobster Metropolis. Create your syndicate. Rise to power. Invest in turfs and recruits, or conduct drive-bys in order to become the most powerful gangster boss in this 2 to 4 player strategy game. Definitely check this one out. They're overfunded and they've got about 6 days to go, ending on the 26th of April, Thursday, which we're also doing a giveaway on that day. So definitely check that out. 13 and plus. Yeah, make sure you're not sending your little wee ones to check out of that game. And then don't forget about Dobbers. Yeah, it's an epic, highly competitive game. In Dobbers Quest for the Key, your race, your opponents, across a board of changing and unpredictable adventure, you face the constant tension between building your personal deck, making your hero stronger than your opponents, and placing new challenges on the board in front of them. Definitely check this one out. And it goes through, let's see here, I'll tell you exactly when it goes through. Goes through the 18th of May. So you got 28 days to go on this one. Definitely give Dobbers Quest for the Key a look. And we'll go ahead and make sure we're having Daryl on the show. So listen for that if you want to hear an interview with him. And then don't forget about Terminator, Genisys, Rise of the Resistance. You may have watched Terminator when you were younger like I did. You may not have because you may be younger than me. Either way, don't rub it in. Just go ahead and check out this great competitive 1 to 4 player action adventure game featuring an original campaign set in the 2029 Terminator universe. With 10 days to go, they're not doing too shabby. And they could always do better with your support. So definitely check them out. They end on the 30th of April. Arnold is back. And then don't forget about Arena the Contest. Tabletop miniature board game. It's a fantasy tactical combat miniature tabletop for 1 to 8 players with a competitive player versus player team competition as well as a co-op dungeon crawler. The Leafs have backed this game. It's 1,000% funded. Well, over that at the time of this recording. The Leafs have backed this. We do have a prototype. We have yet to be able to bring it to the table, unfortunately. I really hope we can get it previewed. But either way, the Leafs can't wait to play this game. So definitely check that one out. And then don't forget about, well, you may not have heard about it. It's been on Kickstarter for quite a while. It's election night. Learn Your Way to the White House. It's a game night hit that teaches math, geography, and the civics of the electrical college. Watch how much these kids love it. And yeah, definitely check this one out. Discover the incredibly fun way to learn essential math, U.S. geography, and civics on the way to becoming the President of the United States. It's a one-of-a-kind classic for every American home. They have 28 days to go. They're going through Friday, May 18th. So definitely give that one a check out. Especially if you've got kids. This is a great one for them. Learn how to be the president, or at least get through the elections. And be the last one standing. Definitely want to check that one out. And then what else do we've got? We've got an Atlas of the Horizons RPG. It's a tabletop role-playing game of daring adventure, focusing on unique characters, optimistic themes, and fantastic stories. I want to say we're going to have the creator on the show. So check this one out. They got about 3 weeks, well, a little bit more than 3 weeks to go. Going through Saturday, the 12th of May. Definitely give that one a check out. And then also don't forget about, well, you could have forgotten about it. But because constantly they're getting more games added to Kickstarter. I really love the art in this one. But do you have children? Well, if you do, definitely you want to get this for them. This is We Beasties. Pretend Time. It's an RPG-themed children's book. Are you out of your mind? No, we're not. It's a fantasy role-playing game themed children's book that features adorable creatures, whimsical rhymes, and beautiful illustrations by Andy Smith of Whimsical Works. Definitely check this one out. They're less than $1,000 away from their goal. They have 13 days to go, going through the 3rd of May. I have seen this lady's art before, and let me tell you, it is whimsical. These wee beasts, definitely something that Little Leaf would probably love. So, you know what? I can't tell Little Leaf because she'll say, gotta catch 'em all, kind of like Pokemon. But Little Leaf, huh? Well, anyways, I'll have to show her. I will show her. And then you'll all be sorry because she'll come on the podcast and talk to you about it. Then we've got The Exorcism at the House of Moncton Falls. I don't remember if I'm having this guy on the show, but this one looks really fun. It launched Friday the 13th, and it's a cooperative game of cartoon horror for 2 to 4 players. Definitely check this one out. It's a worker movement set collecting game themed around the exorcism of ghosts taking up the residents in haunted houses. Definitely want to check this one out. It launched on Friday the 13th. They're going really strong. They have 23 days to go, and they end on Sunday the 13th of May. Definitely check that one out. And then we've also got Dungeon Brawl. It's a customizable, free-for-all RPG board game. In this board game, your friends are now your enemies. Vying for treasure, choose a class, create a deck, and destroy your friends. Your dungeon crawl has just become your dungeon brawl. Don't know if this game's for you? Definitely go back and listen to our interview that we had with the creator of this game. Definitely check that out because they're not too far into the funding. If they don't make it, I hope they do, and we can help them make it. But if they don't, I hope they relaunch this game. They got 9 days to go, going through the 29th of April. Definitely check that one out. And then I had to fix the interview. So if you listened to it before and it was kind of quiet, the guest, I have since fixed it, except for the first 3 minutes and 43 seconds. It was unfixable, unfortunately, due to some tech issues we had. But I got it sounded a lot better. So if you caught Jason's interview about Swords and Cells, Rewrite History in 1000 AD, go back and listen to it. It sounds a lot better, people. But anyway, Swords and Cells is an epic conquest and diplomacy game about leading your armies and fleets through medieval Europe in 1000 AD. They are funded. Yes, they are funded. They've got 8 days to go, ending on Saturday, April 28th. So definitely check this one out. It is back and better than ever before. Definitely give it a look and go ahead and back it, and you can get a great game later on this year. Yeah, July. It looks like he's planning on delivering it in July. Well, some of it. It depends on the pledge. So July or... Wait, that's a little small one. That's a print and play copy. You can start playing in July, but then otherwise go and start playing in March. So yeah, definitely check that one out. And I don't know if I told you this before, but make sure you're signing up for our email list at gamerleaf@gamerleafgo.com so you can get exclusives of the podcast, find out, listen to stuff before your friends, unless they sign up for the mailing list. Yeah, just tell your friends and they'll tell their friends and so on and so forth. And sooner or later, everyone in the world will be signed up for Getting Geeky with GamerLeaf podcast over at gamerleafgo.com. Kind of like Pokemon Go, but GamerLeaf Go. And then, yeah, do that. And yeah, there's a giveaway coming up Thursday, the 26th of April. So definitely sign up before then. And it's our least favorite time, your least favorite time. Time to go ahead and get on with our lives. And you to get on with your lives. Unless, of course, you saw that we dropped 2 other episodes today. And you have yet to catch them. If you haven't caught them, go back and listen to them right now. And in the meantime, go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geek fold. And we will catch you, my friends, on the flip side. Gamer Leaf out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.